Praise be the Lord, dear brothers and sisters. This year is the year of Amoris Laetitia. Amoris Laetitia is a document, Apostolic Exhortation by Pope Francis on the joy of love in families. This year is also the year of Corona pandemic. We feel as if the humanity is on the deathbed. Some of our dear ones have already lost their family members. Some have lost their parents, some have lost their children, and grieving, mourning over the death has become common in almost all cities and villages. The death is knocking every family's door. It is knocking every country's door. It is knocking every state's door. It is knocking every city and village and family door. It is knocking every individual's door. Now, in this context, this document has to say something about the death, especially about the pastoral care of the families who have lost their beloved ones. Paragraph number 253 to 253 to 258 of this document deals on the pastoral care of the families who have lost their beloved ones. Let's go through this document very carefully, especially the paragraph 253 to 258 that deals with death specifically. The side heading given to this section, that is 253 to 258, is when death makes us feel sting. When death makes us feel its sting. Okay, 253. At times, family life is challenged by the death of a loved one. The family life is challenged by the death of a loved one. A couple of weeks ago, Father Thomas, a priest in Gulbarga diocese, passed away. Of course, not because of corona. It was a heart attack rather. And Father Prem Prakash, Father Thomas was his uncle, Father Prem Prakash said, "This is the first experience for us in our family. Father Thomas is the first person to die." And he was telling me he doesn't know for the first time somebody is dying in his family. Families are challenged by the death of a loved one. No matter whether it's a family of those who have priests or bishops or popes, or family those who are elders or young ones. One or the other day, we have to be prepared to get this news of the death of our beloved one. We cannot fail to offer the light of faith as a support to families going through this experience. Now, death is darkness. Darkness in the sense, actually death is not darkness if you see from the eyes of faith. But of course, at times, the moment of death can be the moment of darkness for the families, especially those faith is not very strong. And at this moment of darkness, we cannot fail to offer them the light of faith. Mark the word used in the document, the light of faith. Faith is light. Faith is light. The darknesses are in many forms. The manifestation of darkness is in many forms. Of course, sin is darkness. The wages of sin is death. Death is darkness. The wages of sin is sickness and suffering, darkness. Now, when the humanity goes through the moments of darkness, faith offers them the light. Faith offers them the light to combat this darkness. You are the light of the world, Jesus said. You are the light of the world. We, those who possess this gift of faith, are the light, the gift of light to the families who are suffering the darkness, the moment of darkness. To turn our backs on a grieving family would show a lack of mercy, mean the loss of a pastoral opportunity, and close the door to other efforts at evangelization. Now see what Pope says, that if we turn our backs to a grieving family, we, first of all, show lack of mercy. We show the lack of mercy. We are not supposed to turn our backs. We are not supposed to be indifferent to the grieving families. Number one. Second, it means that the the loss of a pastoral opportunity, that actually presents before us a pastoral opportunity, an opportunity to reach out to the people in the family, especially for the pastors in the church, especially for the priests, nuns, parish council members, and those who are in the ministry. For all of us, grieving family offers a pastoral opportunity to reach out to these families. And to turn our backs to the grieving family also would mean close the door to the efforts at evangelization. According to the Pope, the grieving family is a fertile field for two things. Number one, to console them. Number two, for the pastoral care, pastoral opportunity. And number three, for evangelization. So, we say we live in the era of new evangelization. So all those who are participating in the course of new evangelization, remember what Pope says, that the grieving family is the door for the evangelization. 254, paragraph 254. So far, I explained to you what Pope says in paragraph 253. Now let's go to 254. I can hear the first person narrative. I is Pope. Pope says, I can understand the anguish felt by those who are lost a much loved person, a spouse with whom they have shared much. Lost person, husband losing his wife, parents losing their children, children losing their parents, sibling losing their brothers and sisters, losing our uncles, losing our aunts, you know. So Pope says he can understand the anguish. So remember the word anguish. You know, sometimes we have a tendency to go to the funeral house and say, don't worry, nothing will happen. No. Let's understand what's really happening in the hearts of the family members. There's a deep anguish. We cannot say, don't worry. We have to just stand by them at that moment, because it's the moment of anguish. Those who are lost loved person, a spouse with whom they have shared so much. Jesus himself was deeply moved and began to weep at the death of a friend. You know this incident in John chapter 11, the death of Lazarus. And Jesus himself was, number one, deeply moved, felt so much. Number two, began to weep, deeply moved, began to weep at the death of his friend Lazarus. It's very interesting whether Jesus cried about losing his friend. Yes, definitely. He also wept with Martha and Mary, with the grieving family. It's a great consolation for them also when they saw the tears in Jesus' eyes. And how can we even begin to understand the grief of parents who have lost a child? You know, if Jesus, the Pope questions this, that if Jesus cries over the death of his friend, then understand the grief of the parents losing their children and grief of the children losing their parents. How can we begin to understand the grief of parents who have lost a child? It is as if time stops altogether. It's for them as if the time stops altogether. There is no future for them. You know, at times they might think how nice it would have been for us to die at this very moment. It's as if the time stops for them altogether. Altogether, a chasm opens to engulf both past and future. They are not able to be optimistic about the future. No. As if the time stops for them. And at times, we even go so far as to lay the blame on God. Remember, families, the parents or the children, they lay the blame on God. Why? Why have you done this for us? Why have you taken my child? What wrong my innocent child has done? 1 month-old child, 7 days old child, 1 year old child. What wrong this child has done to you, God? Or what wrong my father has done? You're such a nice person, such a loving person. Why this death? You know, they express their anguish towards God. I can understand them. Get angry with God. Pope says there is the possibility of they getting angry with God himself. How many people, he says, how many people I can understand get angry with God? And Pope says that he understands their feeling. He understands their feeling, their anger towards God. Losing one's spouse is particularly difficult. Losing one's spouse is particularly difficult. From the moment of enduring a loss, some display an ability to concentrate their energies in a greater dedication to their children and grandchildren. There are some who are able to get over this morning, and they are able to concentrate to love their children or grandchildren. So some spouse, they are able to get over of this grief, finding in this experience of love a renewed sense of mission in raising their children. So they they they, 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 they offer it to the feet of the Lord, the death of their spouse, and concentrate and live for a mission, a renewed mission. What is that renewed mission? To take care of their family, to take care of their children in the absence of their spouse, to shoulder that additional responsibility. Those who do not have relatives to spend time with and to receive affection from should be aided by the Christian community with particular attention and availability, especially if they are poor. Now, Pope says that at times they may not have anybody to support them. And at that moment, it is the responsibility of the community, that is parish community or of the ward or a small Christian community or whatever we say, or the neighborhood. It is the responsibility of the community to take care of those people, especially when they are poor. So, dear friends, we have completed our reflection on two paragraphs, and in my next session, I will deal with the other two paragraphs, and I think it will run into three videos. Please continue to watch the part second of this video. May God bless us all.